Okay, so RDS is relational database service from Amazon.
Like,
We can,
is it like SQL? Like, is it the same thing?
sorry,
Is it like SQL? RDS is like
like S3.
SQL.
You're asking S3?
No, SQL, SQL in
Yeah, right,
Windows.
right. Yes, yes.
Is it MySQL or Oracle? Sorry.
I'll come to that.
Any?
We'll
Okay.
see that. Okay. So basically, it's a database service. There are almost all popular database available in AWS. So this is fully managed in the sense will not have access to the underlying operating system. So the database will be created and will be given access to database only. So will not be knowing what is the underlying operating system, what is the underlying hardware. So Amazon manages it. So this way it is highly available. So we don't have to bother about the operating system level updates, right? So Amazon takes care of the OS updates and all, right? And so we just have to we just have to use the database service, and there are all the databases, something like MySQL, Oracle DB, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, and Aurora. Right? These are the databases which it supports. We can request any of the instance of this database and we can use it. So this is Aurora DB is the proprietary Amazon database. It is the extension to MySQL, and it gives 5 times performance more than MySQL, and cost wise also it's cost effective, cost less compared to MySQL. Okay, so these are the databases which it supports. So there are a lot of options.
Is it Postgres or is it Postgres? There's one.
Yeah,
There's
Postgres. Yeah, I think
V Postgres, right? There's the one that
Postgres.
is
Yeah, Postgres, right? Yeah, Postgres, but we spell it as PostgreSQL or something, right?
oh, okay. Postgres. Because there's another one V Postgres that is like V like Victor V Postgres that is also comes with like for VMware appliances.
Okay, let me see. I think it's not there. So yeah, this is PostgreSQL. So these are the things which it supports. Okay. Right. So this is the proprietary database from Amazon, Aurora. This gives more performance compared to MySQL and also costs less compared to MySQL, right? So when I say it's fully managed, we get the instance, we get the IP address, we get the host name. We can log into the database, create the users, create the tables, create the database, drop the tables or whatever you want to perform. We can also access this database from the EC2 instance, provided we have proper authentication, proper security groups in place, right? And then we don't have to worry about the OS updates, and we don't have to worry about what is the operating system underlying, how do we need to patch the operating system and all, because it is taken care by Amazon itself. So if you want the high availability, we can also have database deployed to multi-availability zone. Right, so the database will be accessible from different availability zone. In the sense, it will be something like, let us say there is one data center 1, and there is another data center 2. So this is present in one location. This is present in another location, right? So let us say this is primary, and this is a kind of standby, and the data replication happens between the databases. So in case of any problem, something like natural calamities, floods or earthquake, so the other can become the primary and serve if in case this goes down. So this way we can maintain the availability, high availability, fault tolerance.
Santosh,
Yes.
if it is in same availability zone, that means in different availability zones, but in the same region, right?
Yeah, same region.
Same region, is it going to tolerate for the earthquakes and
Yeah,
you know?
same region means, let us say, this huge, right? Region means it's really huge. So some is, let us say, it's US East 1A and US 1B. So they are in the different cities. They are in the different complete states. So there are less
Oh,
chances like earthquakes happens in entire US, right? So something like that. Because this actually availability zones are connected with high high speed internet cables, high speed fiber cables for the data transfers. So it's not the same with the across the regions. So that's not possible across the regions, but across the across the data centers, in the sense across the availability zones, it is not supported. So that's the reason why we deploy the database into two different availability zones, so that the data replication will be faster, and also we have the high availability, right?
Even Santosh, for the load balancing, I remember it asked you to select two different subnets
Right.
for load balancing. You cannot have same subnet and load balancing on the same subnet, right?
Yeah, it's highly recommended to have load balancer across different availability zones, so that even in
Yes.
case if one goes down, the other will be up.
Yeah, because I think there's no option, because you have to select two different. I think it forces you to select two different zones. Anyways, please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there is option. Anyway, we'll see that. So we can select that way. Yeah. So basically, this is what is RDS, fully managed OS updates. You don't have to bother, and these are the databases which is supported. And if we want the high availability, we need to have multi-availability zone. And when we create the database, it asks two options: is it for development or test purpose, or is it for production?
Is it those databases are for the new databases, or we can migrate like existing infrastructure databases we have right now? Is it a way to migrate them, or
Yes,
it's going to be
there are ways to migrate the existing database as well.
okay?
Yes,
Okay.
I think there are some services as well to migrate the database, existing database to this thing.
Okay.
Okay. So when we have development and test, so free tier is, they are free tier eligible, they are free, and if it is production, will be obviously charged, right? So for development and testing, it's not multi availability zone is not supported, but for production, multi availability zone is supported, because this is just for test and this is for the production. So it's obviously we need to have multi availability zones, so that we have the high availability, fault tolerance, right? And also we can have the replicas, read replicas we can create. So read replicas are something like, let us say we want to write into the database and we want to read the database quite often, right? So instead of loading with the incoming request, loading the primary database with a lot of requests, we can have multiple read replicas. So these are like same database will be created. So we can create a database instance, right? And we can create a EC2 instance. Now let us say I want to access my database from EC2 instance. So I just want to check if there is any connection established properly between the EC2 instance and the database instance, because the application will be running on the EC2 instance. And how does it, so practically how does the application will be deployed to EC2? There are, let us say, 1 or 2 EC2 instances, right? And application is deployed to this instance and this instance, and there is a load balancer which is pointing to these instances, right? So the DNS or the host name of the load balancer will be given to outside world, right? And this people will be accessing. So when they hit the load balancer, they hit either EC2 instance 1 or EC2 instance 2 based on the algorithm. And when they hit, let us say, if that application has to write something to database or it has to extract something from the database, so this in turn will contact the database. So EC2 instance, the application which is running on the EC2 instance will talk to database instance, and it will get the required information, or it will write into the database whatever is needed. So there will be a schema already available in the database which is required for the application to run, right? So let us create a database instance and let us create a EC2 instance and let us try to access it. So how do we access, how do we check whether a database is running, or how do we check whether a communication is established between the EC2 and database?
I think there was a connection. You need to establish a connection.
Okay, let us say we establish the connection now. And what is the port? Let us say by default MySQL listens on.
No idea.
Okay, we'll see that. So it is
3306.
right. 3306 is the port. Right. So what we need to do is we need to install MySQL or Workbench on EC2. If it is Workbench, so either MySQL command line or Workbench graphical user interface we can install on EC2. That will basically connect to the database and check if the connection is proper. So how do we do that? MySQL -h database name, right, and then -u user ID, and then -p password.
Yeah, they are not open source, right? Those databases, right?
Yeah, not open source. They are licensed, but for testing and development they provide free tier. But for production, I mean, when I say it's free tier, it's like same like EC2 instances. 72 hours per month is free. After that, we'll be charged. Okay, so let us try to create one database, MySQL. See, here it is production and dev test. So this is free tier eligible. So this is for multi-availability zone deployments. Okay, so I'll select this. And there are a lot of options here. So only show options that are eligible for free tier. I'll select this. So MySQL and general public license, and the version we can select. What is the version we want? So I'll go with the default one. Here also, this is also like instance, right? So free tier eligible means we'll get 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM. That is T2.micro. Okay. So here by default, multi-availability zone deployment is disabled. So we don't have option to select that. Storage type is SSD and allocated storage is 20 GB. Okay, minimum is 20 GB. And we can also give a name to the instance. This is not the name of the database, but this is the name of the instance. So let us say I'll say DB instance and the username admin. So we have to remember these credentials and the username which you have provided. so that we can access it later.
That means he's a database user, right, Santosh?
Yes, database user. Anyway, we cannot log into instance, right? So we don't even know what is the OS it is running, how to log into underlying operating system. It's only the database. Okay, but this is the instance name. So there will be instance created that will be named as DB instance, and there will be option to create the database as well. So that we'll name the database. Okay. So here there are some advanced settings, VPC, subnet and all, publicly accessible. So this you want to keep yes or no. So generally it will not be publicly accessible, but it will be accessible within the subnet. Let us say EC2 instances have to talk to a database. So database need not have to be it's a public access, right? So it's always internal, right? So for now I'll keep it as yes. Availability zone. So this will be single availability zone. So this will be created in a single data center. We do not have option of deploying it across the multiple availability zones, right? So I'll say US East 1C because our instances are in US East 1C, and then security group, let us say we'll select Launch Wizard 5. Here we have option to choose the database name. So I'll say DB, let us say 123 or something, right? And the database port, and these are some default options. So here if you see, and a database can also be encrypted using enable encryption. And if you want to take a backup or snapshot, we have to give the password, the encrypted password. And here in backup, so automatically it will take backup. Amazon will take the backup automatically, and this retention period is 7 days. Backup will be available. So even if in case something goes wrong, we can always restore from the backup. So there is an option to choose as well, right? And also, when do you want to take the backup? Is it like in the office hours or something like where the high traffic is there, or you want to have some window? You can also select some window from this time to this time. A backup can be taken. That also we can specify, right? So if in case of any maintenance, I said it's automatically maintains it. So auto minor version upgrades. If there are any OS patches that have to be installed on the machine, we can also select a maintenance window, right? So if we select that window, Amazon will perform the maintenance in that particular type, right? So for now, I'll select no preference and I'll launch the instance. So this will take some time. So this is getting created. Meanwhile, let us also create one EC2 instance so that we can try to log into the database from the EC2 instance. Select existing security group. We'll select the same.
So this instance can be set in any availability zone, right? Doesn't have to be in the same availability zone as our database, right?
It can be on any availability zone, but we have to create something called VPC. They have to be in the same VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Something like we need to create a logical network between all the resources. We'll cover that. So it's like let us say we create a logical network between all the resources, and we place all the resources in that logical network so that they can access, right? Okay, so we have created the EC2 instance. Let us go here and see. Okay, so this is getting created. We'll wait for a few minutes before this database instance created, and we'll try to access. I'll wait for a few minutes, 2 minutes.
Hello? 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 Is everyone there? I can't hear any.
Yes, he made in silent.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought it's my problem.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, let us
Yeah.
see if it's created successfully. So let me go to the instances. Okay, it is available. So this is the instance which is created. So if you click on it, we'll get the instance endpoint. So this is the host name of the instance. So this is the instance and it is running on the port 3306. And I have selected the launch security group as what is the security group I have selected? Launch Wizard 5 is the one which I selected. So when we create the new security group, that is for instance, we need to allow the inbound traffic. So if you see in the inbound and if you see edit, so there is something like MySQL Aurora TCP 3306 is the port. This we need to allow so that any instance should be able to access this database using the port 3306. So if we do not have this entry, we'll not be able to access the database from the instance, right? So we are trying to access the database from EC2 instance, and in the security group, if we create a fresh new security group, we need to have inbound traffic allowed for port 3306 for MySQL or Aurora. This is the entry we need to make. So if the database is not accessible from the instance, so the first thing we need to verify is whether there is a inbound rule added for the security group for the port 3306 for the entry MySQL Aurora, right? So it's already added. So I have selected the security group which is already present. So I should be able to access my database from the instance. So let us try to do that.
Is that security group is default or is it was created before somewhere?
It was
sometime?
created before, so I selected the same security group because I know that this has the entry for the inbound rule added for the MySQL.
Okay. rules is one thing. What about access? Do like add additional permissions to that group for the database, or that's enough?
No, we don't have to do that. So it's like this is a security group, which the same security group I can also use for the instance, EC2 instance. So both are both are using the same security group. So even if both are not using, that is also fine, because we have given outbound traffic is always allowed from an EC2 instance, right? We always restrict inbound, but outbound
Yes.
traffic is always allowed. All traffic on all ports we allow. So from a EC2 instance, outbound traffic to security group is allowed. To database is allowed, right? So we don't have to do anything on the EC2 instance. Only thing we need to make sure is they both are in the DB2 instance and the EC2 instance on the same virtual private cloud, VPC. Here we have not yet covered VPC, so we all are using the default VPC, for which all the resources are in the same VPC. Okay.
Okay, so this security group is used only to access the database, and once you access, then
Right.
you're going to use another username and password to get into the instance, right? Something like that, right?
Right. So DB2 instance has the inbound rule. So this has EC2 instance has anyway all traffic is allowed for outbound, and DB2 instance has inbound rule which I have created to allow traffic from 3306 port and on for MySQL and Aurora. So now let me go to the EC2 instance and check if I'm able to access my instance, right? So I created Amazon Linux, so the user will be EC2 user, and let me get the public IP to access the EC2 instance. Okay, so let me go to this and get the IP. Permission denied. Which key I'm using? Did I allow SSH access? SSH is there by default, right? Okay. What is the Linux? What is the AMI? T2 micro. Amazon AMI. So this is Amazon Linux. Let me see what is the instance I created. Okay, there is only one key pair. Okay, this is the same key pair which you are using, right? 2509. Yeah, this is fine. Do you see anything wrong here?
We need to give @EC2 user @IP.
Yeah, that's fine. Anything we can give. -L is also fine, or if you want to give, we need to remove -L. Both are same. There is some other issue. Let me go.
I think is permissions on key.
You mean on the security group?
Yeah, no, key permissions. I mean, so all read, or the
Okay, let me check
should
that.
not, others should not be read, right?
SSH is allowed. Okay. You mean the permissions on the SSH key, on the key? They're fine, right? You mean it should be read, but this is there from beginning. We have not changed anything, right? Did I select a new key for this thing? No, right? Okay. Let me try to spin up new instance. Choose existing key pair. I think I would have selected this only. Okay.
Yeah, maybe try to download the key one more time and
We cannot download once. For the first time we need to download, that's all. After that we cannot download. I mean, when you're launching instance, there is an option, right, to download. That is the only
yes.
place where we can download. Okay. Okay, let it go. Then anyway, we need to just check the connection. DB instance is anyway created. Let us check that. So before that, let us also cover one more service, that is DNS. Domain name server or route 53, right? So this is basically to name a website, we need to buy the domain, right? Domain name, either from GoDaddy, or we can also buy it from Amazon as well, right? So let us say I want to name a website. I want to name my website. So something like www dot, and this first I need to reserve this name. First I need to check if this name is available, and then we need to buy this, and then let us say I want to deploy a website on my instance. Then what are the steps I need to perform? First I need to buy the domain, right? Then I need to create EC2 instance, maybe instances if I want high availability. Then I need to create the load balancer, right? Then this load balancer, maybe it also has a auto scaling in place, right? Then I need to define the inbound rules, outbound rules, who basically wants to log into the machine, and I also have to enable the HTTP and HTTPS requests, and so people will be able to, and I need to deploy my application here. Application in the sense, let us say website, right? So the code which is related to website I need to deploy on EC2. So I need to have a web server, whether Nginx or HTTP, Apache HTTP web server I need to configure, and then I need to have a load balancer that points to these EC2 instances. So this load balancer will have a name, right? So that will be something like given by Amazon, some default name will be there. But this I cannot give it to customers. I need to have something like it to give it to customers, right? So this is what is DNS. So basically we can create one name for the IP, right? So it's difficult to remember the IP addresses or the default names. That's why we choose our name and we give it to the website, and that we create as a something called hosted zone. So that is called hosted zone, right? So when we buy the domain and when we create the instance, and when we create this DNS name for the website, so generally that has to be replicated on the DNS servers. So Amazon will have a DNS server when we buy the domain and when we name our website. So there, when we create a hosted zone, so it takes some time to reflect on all the servers across the world. So around 15 minutes it takes, right? So once we name it and once we created the hosted zone in Amazon Route 53 protocol service, then we should be able to access the website with this name, right? So how do you want to name? So when people say www dot, it should go to the site, path.com, it should go to the site, right? So this and all aliases we can create for the name, right? And also something like, let us say, we can also create something called record sets, right? So what are the record sets? Let us go here and see. Okay, my DB is running. Let me first check quickly if I'm able to access the instance. Okay, I think there was some problem with the key. So I'm inside the instance, but so obviously the outgoing traffic is allowed. Now I just need to install something called MySQL, because I want to talk to database. So let me go to the database and get the DB2 instance DNS name. So RDS instance, and then select this, and there will be a name, okay, running on port 3306. Now I'll just say MySQL -h for the host name, then -u admin -p and the password. So I have given root 12345, right? So if I'm getting into this prompt, that indicates that I have the permission to access the database. So now I can execute all the database queries, show database, use db123, this is the DB which we created, and show tables. So all these things we can perform. We can create a table, we can write the queries, and all those things we can do inside the database, right? If we are able to access this, it indicates that we have the I'm able to access the database from the EC2 instance. Even application will be able to write the data, extract the data from the database. So this is a command to verify if there is connection established properly between the EC2 instance and the DB instance. Okay, I created a DB instance, I created a EC2 instance, and inbound rules of DB instance I have allowed Aurora and MySQL on port 3306, and outbound traffic from the EC2 instance anyway is allowed. So from EC2 instance, if I type this command, a connection is established with the DB instance, right? Is this
Santosh, which one is more popular database like everybody is using today? Is it which one is like, is it MySQL?
all are popular, right? MySQL, Oracle DB, all are popular. These are the relational database, but if you want something like a non-relational database, we have to go for MongoDB. And as I said earlier, Aurora DB.
Yeah, what is the main difference between relationship database and like
So in relational database, we store everything in tables, right? In non-relational database, there is no proper structure. So everything we can put inside the database, right? So something like in analytics, in Hadoop world, so images and all, they do not have any kind of a structure to store in non-relational database. Okay, so I mean, so if you are a something like a solution architect which you are designing which database you want to use, maybe probably we can choose Aurora because it has more performance and it is cost effective, and it is Amazon proprietary if you have AWS infrastructure, right? So let me go.
Santosh, is it going to support big databases, Aurora?
Aurora again, RDS, relational database. If you want something like big data Hadoop, again we have to go for the MongoDB.
No.
Okay, so this is Route 53. So here we can create a zone, or in the dashboard we can also register for a domain registration. Okay, so here we can register a domain and it will be charged accordingly, right? Something like, let us say .com. Check if this website is available to register, right? So it is not available, so he'll give some other options to choose from.
Is it just like buying a domain?
Yes, exactly. So it's like buying the domain name.
Okay.
Right. So we can buy, and this is the amount which we need to pay. And once we have this, then we can create the record sets and all. So anyway, I'm not going to buy any domain. So let me go to the other record sets and all.
the hosting companies also give you like a personal email address. Like, is it something we can also buy? We can do with Amazon, like having configured the personal email addresses also.
Yeah, I think we can do that. There is also option. Let us try to explore that as well. So there is Route 53, and here hosted zones. Here we can create it. Let us say 1, 2, 3. So this is the one which is created, and this has to be, so this name we need to add it for our load balancer. So this has to point to our load balancer. Then if someone hits this, it will be automatically redirected to load balancer, and that load balancer will indirectly redirect the traffic to the application which is running on the EC2 instance, right? Okay, then once this hosted zone is created, we can also create the record sets. So these record sets are something like, we can also create alias. So how do you want to access the website? Is it like www. So generally what do we create is, we create two record sets. One is the regular just visualpath123.com, and one is www.visualpath123.com, so that when someone accesses it with www also or regular visualpath also, it will hit the same website. And there is something called, while creating the record sets, we have different these things we can select types. So if it is only a IPv4 address, we can select A, and if it is something like a IPv6 address, we can select IP4As and IPv6 address. And if it is CNAME is something like, let us say there are two servers, server 1 and server 2. So this also does something like health check, and if server 1 is not accessible and this DNS entry something.com has to point to server 2, right? If server 1 is not accessible, it has to change the CNAME to server 2. So this is called CNAME, okay? And so there is also something called AAA, CNAME, and mail exchange. I think this is the one which we can have a personal email ID is created, okay? And there are somewhere the policies. How do we set the policies? Yeah, this one. There are something like routing policies. How do you want your website to be accessible, right? Let us say we are migrating from that on-premise data center to AWS. Now I want to give a weight, right? So how do you want to specify? Something like 80% of the traffic should be allowed for my on-premise data center, and 20% should be redirected to AWS. So that way we can also give a weight to routed policies. Simply something like simple, all the traffic will be redirected to that particular DNS server, and so based on the geographical location also we can route the incoming request to that particular instance. Let us say there are multiple instances across the world, and there is one particular instance in England, let us say, or London, and the user is also in London, and we basically want the traffic from that particular user who is in one geographic location to be sent to that particular server which is also residing in that geographic location. So for that we can select this geolocation, right? And latency is something like based on the user's response time. That also so something like we need to have the user should be able to access the website. The response from the website should, based on that time, we can select the server, right? So if you have multiple servers across the world, based on the latency time also user will be redirected to that particular server, right? And failover is something like if as I said earlier, this if one server goes down, all the requests should be redirected to other server. So if we select that policy and if we give this CNAME, then if server goes down, the other server will take over and all the incoming requests will be processed to that server. Okay. So there is also option to evaluate target health check. If we set to yes, and then the server health check will be checked by AWS, and if the server is down, the CNAME will be moved to the other server. Okay, so I cannot show because I don't have this thing hosted zone created or purchased. So by creating the test records, but if we have one domain name purchased, we can test all these things by creating a website on EC2 instance, by assigning this name to load balancer, and by hitting this website and checking whether this particular website is actually accessible. Okay.
So this hosted zones are basically for the load balancing and like adding more policies to your website, right?
Right. So hosted zone is basically the domain name, and this domain name we have to buy and create a hosted zone here, and we need to assign that IP address from the instance or from the load balancer. Let us say I don't want to have load balancer, right? So I only have one EC2 instance which is running and my application is running on this. I can specify this IP address. Let us say something like 54.100.100.100. This is IPv4 address, right? So this address I want to map to .com, right? I can do that. Or load balancer is something like we created a load balancer 123.dns. So it will be something like this, amazon.aws.com, right? So this also I can point it .com.
Yeah, but how we can point the first part, like 54 to visual path? Where are we going to do that?
So here, value is there, right? While creating the record sets, there is a value. So this value we need to give here something like 54.100.100. Set as a 1, and here we give www.com. So this address, when someone hits this, it will be pointed to this address, and this address is nothing but our EC2 instance, and application is running on it, and that will be redirected.
Okay, because I thought this thing got done through DNS. This is not DNS, right?
Here, when we are creating the domain name for the first time, right? When we are registering, that is actually DNS. So that once we register, then there will be an entry made in the DNS server of the Amazon, and if we wait for the 15 minutes, that DNS entry will be replicated across all the servers, all the DNS servers in the world, and anybody from anywhere should be able to access this website.
So once we register, let's say a new domain name, it's going to give you the IP address, right?
No, IP address it will not give. IP address we have to map it. We are only buying the name of this thing. We are not getting the IP address, right? The IP address we have to map it to the domain name.
Okay. So we buying the domain name, then we have to configure the website on our instance.
Right.
Then we get this IP to resolve to the
domain name.
Hosted. Okay.
And that domain name, so that IP can be, it can be IP or it can be a load balancer. If it is a load balancer, when someone hits, that will be redirected load balancer. Then from there it will hit the EC2 instance. From there it will hit the application.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.